Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly felt alive? Not just breathing, not just existing, but feeling a fire inside your chest. Feeling the strength in your steps, the sharpness in your mind, the pulse of excitement running through your veins. If you have to think too long about it, if you can't remember, it's not your fault. You were taught to believe that after a certain age, passion must end. That energy must fade. That desire must be buried like some embarrassing relic of your youth. But the truth is far more beautiful and far more urgent. Your body, even now, still craves connection. Your heart still hungers for stimulation. Your spirit still longs for fire. You didn't lose it because of age. You lost it because somewhere along the way you stopped listening to the signals your body was desperately trying to send you. You stopped watering the parts of yourself that keep you vital. And here's the real tragedy. The disappearance is so gradual, so polite, you hardly notice it happening, until one day you sit quietly by the window, wondering, where did I go? But listen carefully. You are not gone. You are not finished. You are simply waiting to be reignited. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll discover how to reconnect with yourself in the most powerful, life-giving way, and why it might just be the secret to not only surviving these years, but thriving in them. When did you start disappearing? Was it the first time you ignored the quiet ache in your legs as you climbed the stairs? Was it the moment you laughed a little less loudly, even though the joke was just as funny? Or maybe it was when you stopped reaching for yourself in the dark, thinking it no longer mattered, that it was somehow time to let it all go. The truth is, most men don't realize the slow vanishing has begun until it feels irreversible. And the cruel part? It doesn't happen because your body fails you. It happens because somewhere along the way, you were taught to abandon the very lifelines that keep you alive. You were told that passion fades with age, that strength disappears naturally, that the fire inside a man must dim quietly, respectfully, so the world can move on without discomfort. But that's a lie, a dangerous, heartbreaking lie. The real reason so many men lose their vitality, their sharpness, their energy after 60 isn't because their bodies give up on them. It's because they give up on themselves without even knowing it. There's a moment, sometimes so small it goes unnoticed, when a man decides, I guess this part of me isn't important anymore. Maybe it's the moment you told yourself that desiring touch, even your own, was childish. Maybe it's when you stopped seeking the simple, private acts that once kept you tethered to life itself. Maybe it's when shame, or fear, or tired resignation whispered that real men don't need that anymore. And in that quiet surrender, a seed was planted. Not a seed of wisdom, not a seed of maturity, but a seed of erosion, of slow decline, of a life that gets smaller, colder, dimmer with each passing year. Because here's the truth no one said aloud. Sexual connection, even with yourself, is not just about pleasure. It's about blood flow. It's about hormonal vitality. It's about the intricate dance of mind, body, and spirit that keeps you fully alive. When you give up self-pleasure, you're not just letting go of a pastime. You're turning off the pumps that feed your heart. You're shutting down the pathways that clear your mind. You're allowing the systems that protect your strength, your memory, your resilience to fall into disrepair. You're telling your body, day after day, you're not needed anymore. And your body listens. Blood vessels stiffen, nerve endings dull, hormones crash, muscles weaken, bones lose density. The mind fogs not because of inevitable aging, but because the engine was left idle too long. Most men never connect these dots. They think the fatigue, the memory slips, the creeping sadness are just normal. They accept the erosion as fate, never realizing it was preventable, never realizing they had more power than they were ever told. Science tells a different story. Research from institutions like Harvard and Mayo Clinic has shown that maintaining sexual activity, even privately, dramatically supports cardiovascular health, hormone balance, cognitive sharpness, and emotional resilience. The body is designed to thrive on stimulation, connection, and care, even into the 8th, 9th decade of life. Self-pleasure isn't a guilty relic of youth. It's biological maintenance. It's emotional survival. It's a lifeline that should never have been cut. When you stopped reaching for yourself, you didn't just lose touch with pleasure. You lost touch with vitality, with confidence, with the daily reminder that your body, even now, is powerful, capable, worthy of joy. But here's the beautiful thing. Even if you haven't tended to these roots in years, they're still alive, waiting under the surface, still ready to respond if you choose to reach inward again. It's not about going back to who you were at 25. It's about honoring who you are right now. A man with decades of strength and wisdom still pulsing under his skin, needing only a little attention, a little respect, to come roaring back to life. The question isn't whether you have lost it. The question is whether you're ready to reclaim it. Because the moment you start connecting again, truly connecting, the moment you remind your body that it still matters, the lights begin to flicker back on. Blood flows freer. Thoughts grow clearer. Steps feel stronger. And a glimmer returns to your eyes that no medicine, no supplement, no external force can create. Only you can choose it. Only you can breathe life back into the man you thought was disappearing. And the best time to start is now. If you've ever sat in silence and wondered, when did I stop feeling like myself? You're not alone. In fact, you are part of a silent brotherhood of good, strong men who spent their lives building, protecting, sacrificing, and somewhere along the way were quietly taught to surrender the very things that kept them alive inside. I think about Robert, a proud, broad-shouldered man who, when I first met him, looked far older than his 72 years. His skin was pale and paper-thin. His once steady voice barely more than a whisper. He confessed to me, with eyes full of regret, that he hadn't touched himself, not even once, in over 15 years. He thought he was doing the right thing. He thought he was aging with dignity, putting aside what he believed were childish needs. But sitting there, across from me, he didn't feel noble. He felt empty, tired, disconnected from the very core of who he used to be. He said something that haunts me even now. If someone had just told me, if I had just known that part of me mattered, maybe I wouldn't feel like half a man today. And then there was Frank, a retired firefighter, a man who had spent decades running into burning buildings, saving lives with his bare hands. Even at 68, he looked strong on the outside, but when he spoke, you could hear the weariness in his words. Frank had also abandoned that private part of himself years ago, believing it was the honorable thing to do. At first it seemed harmless, a little more tiredness, a little less clarity, but over time it became something far more devastating. He lost not just his physical strength, but the spark in his eyes, the fierce light that had once made him invincible. He told me, it wasn't the fires I fought that beat me, it was the slow fading inside, the part I thought was supposed to happen naturally. But perhaps the most heartbreaking story I've witnessed belongs to Margaret. Margaret wasn't the one losing strength directly. She was the wife, the woman who stood by, watching helplessly as the man she loved, her husband, her partner of 40 years, slowly disappeared before her eyes. Not because of sickness, not because of tragedy, but because he quietly gave up on the private connection that had once tethered him to life, to her, to himself. She described it with tears glistening in her eyes. It was like he stopped reaching for life, he stopped reaching for me. He was still there, sitting across the dinner table, but his soul was somewhere far away. The saddest part? Neither of them knew what was happening. Neither of them knew that by letting go of something so seemingly small, they were letting go of the very lifeline that connected them to each other, to vitality, to hope. And they are not alone. Across the country, across the world, millions of men are walking the same quiet, lonely path. Men who were never warned. Men who were never told that the fading they feel, it's the result of abandoning a vital connection, one that could have kept them strong, sharp, and alive even into their 80s and beyond. If you have ever felt more tired than you should, if you have ever noticed the days growing grayer, your laughter growing softer, your reflection feeling less and less familiar, or this, you are not broken. You are not beyond saving. You are not alone. There is still a fire inside you, waiting. There are still roots of strength and vitality, unbroken, though neglected. And today, you can start to water them again. Today, you can choose to remember. You were never meant to disappear. You were meant to live, fully and fiercely, all the way to the very end. Most men believe that the slow decline they feel after 60 is simply nature taking its course. That the slipping strength, the fading sharpness, the quiet exhaustion in their bones are all part of some inevitable, unstoppable march toward frailty. But the truth is far more empowering and far more urgent. The real reason many men lose their vitality, their clarity, their passion after 60 is not because their bodies are destined to fall apart. It's because they unknowingly shut down one of the most powerful systems of life inside them. You see, nature built your body to thrive on stimulation, not just mental stimulation, not just physical exercise, but deep, primal sexual stimulation even into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. When you engage in sexual activity, even privately, a miraculous sequence of events happens inside your body. Blood rushes freely to vital tissues, nourishing them with oxygen and nutrients. The heart pumps stronger. The arteries stay supple and open, protecting against heart disease and cognitive decline. Nerve endings fire and grow stronger, preserving sensation, balance, and reaction time. Hormones like testosterone surge, fueling muscle strength, bone density, energy, and even the spark of motivation that gets you out of bed in the morning. And perhaps most profoundly, the mind sharpens. Nerve function, mood elevates, sleep deepens. Emotional resilience rebuilds itself from the inside out. Self-pleasure is not an indulgence. It's not a leftover from youth. It's biological maintenance, as essential to your longevity as moving your legs, breathing deeply, or eating nourishing food. Harvard researchers have found that men who maintain regular sexual activity, even solitary, show dramatically lower risks of cardiovascular disease, prostate issues, cognitive decline, and depression compared to those who give it up. In fact, a 25-year longitudinal study revealed that men who ejaculated 21 times or more per month reduced their risk of prostate cancer by nearly a third. But it's not just about disease prevention. It's about keeping the river of life flowing through you, keeping your body in a state of readiness, strength, and vibrancy. When blood flow decreases, tissues wither. When nerve stimulation declines, sensation dulls. When hormonal rhythms collapse, so does muscle mass, mood stability, and mental clarity. And the most dangerous part? This shutdown happens quietly. Subtlety. without alarms. One day you're full of strength and humor. The next, you're struggling to climb stairs, struggling to focus, wondering why you feel like a faded version of yourself, and never connecting the dots. Society taught you to turn away from this vital act, to believe it was shameful, selfish, childish, something to outgrow, bury, silence. But that shame was never about biology. It was about control. It was about forcing men into a mold of silent decay, rather than honoring the unstoppable life force that was built to carry them forward for decades more. The truth is simple. If you abandon this connection, your body hears you. It begins the long, quiet retreat inward, shutting down systems you no longer seem to need. But if you nurture it, even modestly, even privately, your body hears you too. And it responds. It strengthens the walls of your arteries. It feeds fresh blood to your brain and heart. It triggers hormonal symphonies that rebuild muscle, lift mood, sharpen memory. It whispers back, "We are still alive, we are still strong, we are still needed." And beyond the biology lies something even deeper. The act of staying connected to your body, of touching it with respect, with care, with intention, reminds you on a soul level that you are still a man, still capable of joy, still worthy of pleasure, still deeply, vibrantly human. It is not about chasing the erections of youth. It is about honoring the incredible, resilient body you have today. A body that still responds, still hungers, still carries within it the full machinery of life. Even if it feels rusty, even if you haven't tended it in years. The roots are not dead. They are simply waiting for water. And here's the most beautiful part. You don't have to move mountains to reclaim this life force. You don't need a miracle. You need only the courage to reconnect. To stop treating your body like a stranger. To touch it again with curiosity, with gentleness, with gratitude for everything it has carried you through. Because inside you, no matter how many birthdays have passed, no matter how many quiet years have slipped by, there is still a fire. There are still rivers waiting to flow. There is still strength ready to surge through your veins if you choose to awaken it. And when you do, the world will notice. Your body will notice. Your spirit, so patient, so quietly waiting, will notice. And you will remember what it feels like to be fully, fiercely alive again. There comes a moment in every man's life when the world gets a little quieter. When laughter from others feels a little further away. When energy that once came so easily now demands a little more effort. When the mirror reflects not just your face, but questions you never thought you'd ask. Is this just how it ends? Is it slow fading my fate? Or is there still more life left inside me? Too many men never confront that moment. They bury it under busyness, under pride, under the numbing silence of resignation. They tell themselves it's natural. They tell themselves it's dignified. They tell themselves that wanting more, wanting to feel alive, to feel powerful, to feel desire, is somehow wrong at their age. But deep down, late at night when no one is watching, a different voice whispers. A voice that says, "I'm not done yet. There's still something burning inside me. There's still a fight left to be fought." Today, I want to ask you something that most people will never dare to ask you. When you look back on your life, whether that's 5 years from now, 15 years, or 50, what story do you want to tell yourself? Will it be the story of a man who quietly accepted the slow, polite fading away of his body, his spirit, his dreams, because he thought that was what aging demanded? Or will it be the story of a man who stood up, even when it was hard, even when no one cheered, even when the world had already written him off? and chose to keep fighting for every last drop of life inside him? The choice isn't easy. The fading is seductive. It's quiet. It asks nothing of you but surrender. But life, real life, asks more. It asks you to reach inward, even when you're tired. It asks you to touch your own body, not with shame, but with respect. It asks you to keep the blood moving, the heart open, the mind awake, the spirit fierce, not for vanity, not for pride, but for yourself. For the man who still lives inside you, waiting, hoping, daring to believe that it's not too late. Imagine, just for a moment, what it would feel like to wake up tomorrow, feeling stronger, feeling sharper, feeling more connected to your own body than you have in years. Imagine seeing that old glint of mischief return to your eyes, feeling that pulse of energy in your chest, knowing that you chose to stand up for yourself, even when the world expected you to sit down and fade away. You have that power, right now, in this very moment. The question is not whether it's possible. The question is whether you will choose it. Because the truth is simple. You are either moving toward life or you are slipping away from it. There is no standing still. Every small choice you make to connect, to honor, to nurture your own body and spirit builds momentum. Every small surrender to apathy, to shame, to resignation chips away at your fire. Today, you stand at a crossroads. One path is silent, comfortable, and leads to the slow extinguishing of everything you once loved about being alive. The other path is harder, lonelier perhaps, but it leads back to strength, to connection, to pride, to a life that refuses to dim quietly. Which path will you choose? Because here's the truth no one else will tell you. It's not too late. It's never too late until you decide it is. And today, right here, you have a choice. To fade or to fight. Which will you choose? Choosing to fight for your vitality is not about grand heroic gestures. It's about small, deliberate acts of defiance. Small choices, made consistently, that tell your body, your heart, your mind, I'm still here, and I'm not done yet. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the idea of reclaiming your strength, let me offer you this reassurance. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to climb mountains tomorrow. You only have to start with one simple step. The first step is to reconnect with your own body, without shame, without rush, without judgment. Tonight, when you are alone and the world is quiet, take a few minutes to sit or lie comfortably. Place your hand gently over your heart. Feel the steady, faithful beat beneath your skin. Whisper to yourself, I am still alive. I am still strong. This small act is not meaningless. It is a signal to your nervous system, your hormones, your spirit. You matter. You are seen. You are needed. From there, allow yourself to begin touching your body again, not with urgency or expectation, but with simple curiosity and gratitude. Your body may feel different than it once did. It may respond more slowly. It may carry the scars and stories of a lifetime, but it is still yours, still alive, still capable of pleasure, of connection, of profound vitality. Gentle, mindful self-pleasure 2 or 3 times a week can have extraordinary effects. It promotes blood flow to essential tissues. It maintains nerve health and responsiveness. It triggers hormonal cascades that lift mood, strengthen bones, sharpen memory, and rebuild emotional resilience. It doesn't have to be a performance. It doesn't have to look or feel the way it did in your 20s. It only needs to be real. It only needs to be yours. Alongside this reconnection, invite movement back into your daily life. Not as punishment, but as a celebration of what your body can still do. Take a walk around your block each morning. Stretch your arms wide to the sky when you wake up. Breathe deeply into your chest, into your belly, into the spaces that life wants to inhabit again. Movement and touch work together. Each strengthens the other. Each sends the message deeper into your body. Stay awake, stay alive, stay ready. Science supports this ancient wisdom. Regular, gentle physical movement keeps blood vessels elastic and strong, lowers inflammation, maintains muscle mass, and protects cognitive function. Combined with regular sexual connection, even solitary, it forms a foundation of health that no pill can replicate. And perhaps even more powerful than the biological effects is the emotional transformation. When you reclaim the rituals of touch, of movement, of honoring your own vitality, you begin to feel differently inside your skin. You stand a little taller. You breathe a little deeper. You meet your own reflection with a new kind of respect, not because you are chasing youth, but because you are embracing life exactly as you are, exactly where you are. Samuel, the retired carpenter I once worked with, understood this truth better than most. When he first came to me, he described his life as the slow surrender. His legs ached after just a few steps. His hands, once so steady and strong, trembled with effort. His spirit felt foggy, gray, almost invisible. But Samuel chose to fight. He started small. A short walk each morning. A few minutes of gentle touch each night, not chasing a goal, but simply reminding his body that it still mattered. Within a few months, something extraordinary happened. He smiled more. He laughed louder. He tackled small projects around his home again. And perhaps most importantly, he began to speak of himself not as the man I used to be, but as the man I am becoming. That is the power of small, deliberate acts. You are not reclaiming the past. You are building a new future, one rooted not in regret but in hope, one shaped not by surrender but by choice. Today, you stand at the beginning of that future. You don't need to change everything overnight. You only need to start. Start by honoring the life still pulsing beneath your skin. Start by moving, stretching, breathing, touching, living, even for a few minutes a day. And as you do, you'll notice something remarkable. The energy returns. The sharpness returns. The laughter returns. The light in your eyes, that light that no one else can fake or fabricate, begins to glow again. Not because you fought the impossible battle to stay young, but because you made the courageous choice to stay alive. That is a victory far greater than anything age could ever take from you. As you sit here now, maybe you're feeling something stirring deep inside. A memory, a longing, a quiet strength you thought you had lost. Maybe it's been buried for years under layers of routine, under the heavy silence of resignation, under the false belief that your time for vibrancy had passed. But here's the truth you've uncovered today. That fire inside you, the one that once burned with purpose, with connection, with life, never truly died. It simply waited, patiently, silently, hoping you would one day reach back for it. And now you have. Today, you have been reminded that vitality is not something given only to the young. It is a birthright that remains with you as long as you have the courage to claim it. It is not determined by the number of years you have lived. It is determined by the number of moments you still dare to live fully. Reconnecting with your body is not about chasing what once was. It's about honoring what still is. It's about meeting yourself with compassion, with curiosity, with profound gratitude for the vessel that has carried you through storms and victories alike. It's about choosing to believe that every breath you take, every movement you make, every touch you allow yourself to feel is a rebellion against the slow fading the world expected of you. You were not made to disappear quietly. You were made to burn, to shine, to leave a trail of light and strength that ripples out long after you're gone. The mirror that once showed you a stranger can once again show you a fighter. The steps that once felt heavy can once again feel purposeful. The days that once blurred into each other can once again feel alive with possibility. Not because you turned back time, but because you turned toward life. And what's more, you are not alone. Right now, across the world, countless other men stand at this same crossroads. Some will choose to drift further into the gray, but some, a brave few, will choose to reignite, to reclaim, to rise. You have the choice to be among them, to join the quiet brotherhood of men who refuse to let the world write their final chapters in fading ink. And it all starts with one small act, one small moment of reaching inward, of honoring your body, of whispering to yourself, I am still here, I am still strong, I am still worthy of life. So I ask you, as you leave this moment and step back into the rhythm of your days, what is one small thing you will do tonight to keep your inner fire alive? Will you stretch your arms wide and breathe deeply into your chest? Will you run your hands over your skin, feeling not just flesh but history, resilience, triumph? Will you move, gently but deliberately, telling your body with every step, stay awake, stay alive, stay ready? Or will you sit quietly with yourself, hand over your heart, feeling that steady, unwavering beat, and whisper back, thank you, I'm not done yet. Your next chapter is not written. Your story is not finished. The pen is still in your hand, and the fire inside you is still waiting, ready to light the way forward, if only you choose to let it. You are not broken. You are not invisible. You are not too late. You are alive. And the best parts of your journey, the strongest, the fiercest, the most fully lived moments, may very well be still ahead of you. All it takes is the choice to believe it. So choose. Choose now. Choose life. And let's walk this next chapter together. Awake, alive, and unafraid. If this message stirred something in you today, I would love to hear from you. Share below one small step you're committing to starting tonight. Your voice might be the very spark another man needs to find his way back to life. And if you found this reminder valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to stay connected. Because this is just the beginning. There is so much more life ahead. And you, my friend, are exactly where you need to be, at the start of something beautiful.